exploitation becomes a little bit more easier the moment you can see that that port is open. Mr. George, before we proceed, I hope you understand so far what we have said. I wouldn't want us to come back to this, so I want to give the opportunity for you to ask a question.
My network have not been very stable, sir. Network is very, very bad here. But I'm following.
Okay, sorry, what's going on?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
You know, I was saying something before. Identifying the right
yeah,
payload. To identify
yeah.
which is the payload among the program after exploiting, which is the match payload, or which, how do you identify the payload of an exploit?
Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Yes, what to do. Now, for me to find the right payload I'm supposed to use, the one I see under MSF Venom, which is, I click on this. I thought you guys are even seen it. I just checked. I saw you're not seeing it. I now see a payload here. Now, these are the payload that are available, right? In this payload that are available, this is HTTP. I can now copy this particular payload. I will now right click on it, copy it, and bring it to my um my metasploit, and I will type use, and I would now paste that payload there, and I'll press enter. So you can see that it has right payload Linux times 80, 68, 64 meterpreter underscore reverse dot HTTP. Can you see now that I have put a payload there? And that payload is not available in this particular I've clicked on something else. Why is this thing shifting from one place to another?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Now, if you have exploit and you did not impute the payload, that means you will not get what you want, or the information cannot be delivered to your own system, right?
e- Exactly.
So it means that the
Exactly.
payload is another program. It's another set of program that copy whatever the vulnerability you have seen, that
The
maybe give you
vulnerability.
access,
Yes,
or give you
exactly.
something, extract something, or extract information from the vulnerability.
Hey, sorry, I'm coming. Hey, wait, I'm coming. I'm in the class. I'm in the class. Sorry.
It's okay. No, what happened?
Out input mode.
Not sure. Television, no. Yeah, keep on television. I want to do television. Now. Come on. Come on. Wow. Backed up self. May how many? Una marute komi alo ha je mad na again. Una marute komi alo ha je kani de una mad ano.
Yeah. So sorry about that. The major thing is that you need to be able to find the right payload, and it is the right payload that would actually make your exploit to function because the payload is now what you put inside the system. If you find the right payload, everything becomes a bit more easier. Mr. Ecotech
So we
was
can't see your
trying
screen.
to wait. I don't know what's wrong with this screen.
Yes, sir. I was asking now that to detect it or without it, you may not accomplish whatever you want to do.
Yes, without payload, you can't accomplish anything.
So, and I was like
The
asking,
X, yeah,
how do you identify a payload?
we will discuss on each payload what they actually represent. What payload, if you see a payload, you should understand what that payload can do. But I am just using it for the example, like where you can go and copy payload from in case you don't find the right payload on the system that you are actually going after. We will still explain other things on payload because for the exploits, we already know what the exploitation is about, but we have not known exactly the job of those payload. Let me see this other system. I want to share my screen. Yeah. Oh, it's showing yeah. Sorry, my system is confusing me here. Man of thoughts. So on this aspect, I think I don't know what happened. I think let me check to if there's anything I misplaced here. cancel. Sure. I think the Kali started all over again. Yes. I think something closed the application I was working on. Ooh.
Hello, man of thought.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I don't know the one we first scan. We scan the entire network to be able to get all these open ports and their IPs.
yeah.
Yeah, but the particular one we picked, are we not supposed to use the IP for that particular open port, that Linux open port?
That was the same IP address I use. The same IP address I use in scanning it is the same IP address
Okay,
I
the
use
same IP
in.
you use in scanning the whole network.
Yes, even if it is showing 192.168.1.2 or showing you
Yeah,
um, 192.168.1.50. This one now is
yeah,
Microsoft Windows. It's showing me that this is it. What I just need to do is that this become my R host. Even if it is the Linux that is showing its own IP address, what I would only do is because I know that the Linux is using the network of this particular person, is
yeah,
using the network of this particular IP address. So I would only find if this particular port of this particular Linux is open, then even if this
yeah,
port, if let's say the Windows is secured, Abi, let's say the window is secured,
yeah.
I can pass through this Linux that has the open ports to now
Yeah.
penetrate into the network. So I don't. This is not the port IP address I will use. It is still the same IP address 192.168.1.76
Oh,
is what I would use. I would only use their open port and I will use their operating system. So they become the
oh,
targets because they are on that
oh,
network. So that is exactly what it means when you would realize how long I've said that if you are on a network, somebody can hack into your device if you're on a free network.
yeah.
So this is exactly what
Okay,
it means. We are not yet there yet, but this is exactly what it means that with you just being on the network and your port is open, one can just tap from there and then get into your own uh, device.
okay, okay.
That's,
All right.
that's that. Let me see my people are around. If I would do the scan again, okay, the network is not browsing here. Let me browse something. Now, if you look at it a bit, you can see that this particular one tells you that it is VBox. That is, this is the Kali system that I just went for. This tell you this is Windows. This tell you this is Linux. This tell you either Android, and this tell you this should be a phone. This is a phone. So now it's still initiating. Network could take time or
Hello, man of thought.
yeah,
There is something I noticed. I said, let me ask. On
okay.
the Nmap, sir, when you
Yeah,
click on ports stroke the host, it seems all the open port or all the closed port on the IP address that you scan, you should be able to see them. The ones that are closed are red. The ones that are open will be in green. I want to be sure.
the one that is it part
Hello,
of
sir.
what I'm showing you on my screen?
Not your own. Now on my own, I check.
Okay.
I try to check the menu where you have the topology, the host details, and all of that, the ports and this thing at the
No,
menu bar.
topology is just the topology is just showing you how the network are being configured. So, for example, right
I
now,
know,
6
I know
devices
that the
are the
top,
one connected.
I
Okay.
know that the topology is the architecture of the network. But what I'm saying, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the ports and the host.
All the ports that are open.
Yes, I'm seeing when I click ports and host, I'm seeing some of the ports that are green and some are red.
The one that are showing you red, it's telling you that those particular ports are secured. That is exactly what it's telling you. Because
Okay,
sometimes they will be reviewed. It is telling you that those ports are secured. But if it's showing you
okay,
green, it means that that port is actually open.
okay,
Yeah. Mm. So on this one now, if you see, I did my scan, and out of the scan, you can look at, if you look at this scan here, this is my television, my parlor television. This is my VBox, that's my Kali. This is my Windows. This is somebody's phone here. This is and maybe another Kali, and this is my phone. So it indicates and it shows us exactly all the devices that are actually on at the moment.
okay, sir.
All right. So what we are only going to do is to find the port, any port that is open here, like this particular one is the television. But what's the point going through television? But this is television ports. Okay, this is the television port. Because I use Google Android 5.x, which is that particular remote whereby you talk to the remote and it changes the television. Is the television is connected to internet. So you can see it here, Amazon Fire TV. So you can decide if the port is open to go after that Amazon TV, which is um, Amazon um, Amazon Fire TV. I think some people might know about it. So you can, this is the device. It is connected to the TV. So TV with internet, you can still bypass and go inside the TV. And from there, you can tap into the network. Now that means that's the reason why one must be sure that every device that is connected to their home, none of them that their port is vulnerable, or else one can take advantage of any of those ports as far as they can find an exploit for it. Or if it is for the phone, this is the one we use. So in a nutshell, what I've been able to indicate here is that we need to be able to find the right payload. And to find the right payload, the payload our might not be on the MSF console, but the payload might be found in MSF Venom. And so we need to be able to go through that place to pick up the right payload so that it can now work on that particular device that we want it to attack, or the system we actually want to exploit. So which is, I don't know, I don't think going back here would make, it's going to take a little bit of my time. So what we can do right here is to ask, one of the thing I want to give us is to say that we should find an exploit, and then let us find a payload that is suitable to the exploits of the operating system that we are looking for. And I don't want it to be Windows. I want it to be either Linux or any other operating system, because Windows is very easy for us to see Windows. Because when you come to this place and you say search, or you say show payloads, it's going to show you many of the payloads, but most of these payloads are for Windows, whereas some of them are for Linux. But you see that that particular, regardless of the fact that there's a payload for Linux, none of these ones here are suitable for that particular one that I was looking for. So I had to go to a different place to find a payload for it. Because most of this payload you are seeing here, look at it here, payload, CMD, Linux, FTP. FTP is for port 22. I want you to always, when you are reading it, always read through the whole thing to know what it is for. For example, payload here means it is a payload. CMD means it will go for a command prompt like the terminal. Linux is the operating system. TFTP, that means many of these payloads you are seeing here can work mostly for port 22 that is open. So if it is port 80 that is open, in this particular one, it is difficult to see many, because most of them, you could see something similar that you may try to manage, but it's not on that particular device that I'm looking for. Okay, look at these payloads here now. This is showing PPC. This is showing PPC. Linux HTTPS. This one can be cool. But when it is telling you PPS, it is not designed, it is designed for something else. ARM-leh is designed for something else. Because if it is just the Linux we are going for, we should be using a payload that just go between payload command. Let me check this particular one again.
Hello, man of God.
Yeah,
Can I talk now?
yes, you can.
Now I feel okay. Now, if now we are looking for we still, let's assume port 80 is open with 80 HTTP or RPC. Okay, if we can find the the payload in the our exploit, then we come to this here to find our payload.
MSF Venom.
That means we are MSF Venom. So we have to
Yeah,
now tailor our findings to probably the RPC version on this payload.
you find
Is
what?
it if the port opening port, the version is, let's say, Windows or Linux or whatever, for instance RPC, then if you
Yes,
come here for this MSF Venom to search for the payload, that means we are going to be looking for any payload that comes with RPC.
exactly.
Okay, so
Windows,
okay,
if it's Windows, yes, Windows RPC. And if you can't find it, I want us to first of all learn how to come and find payload and get the right payload and use it. Use it, don't
okay,
execute it. Use it, don't execute it. Just keep it and screenshot your payload, and let me be sure that your payload is aligned with your exploit. If your payload is aligned with your exploit, you are on the right track. So you just exploit a system, find a port that is open, um, find the version of the system that is open. That means, yes, look at the version,
okay,
and then
okay,
the
okay.
operating
Does it mean
system.
now? Okay, the version, the operating system. Can we now take the service into consideration too? Service of the
Into
version
what?
to consideration.
Service of the version to where? There's noise at the background.
As in of the version of the RPC. You know, sometimes it's there is service before the version. Maybe they can, like, sometimes you see the version, then you see the service. Do we shall need to take those things into consideration in our findings?
Yes. So if you can find the right payload, even if you can't find the payload in your MSF console, come to MSF Venom
Yeah.
and find your payload that is going to match. Once you can find the payload that
Okay.
is going to match, then I am sure that okay, you are getting conversant with. We are still working on only operating system now. We are not talking about network. So I know either within Linux,
Okay.
that's why I say I don't want operating system. I want Linux or other version of operating system. The payload, you look for a payload here, and then you align them together. Show me the payload, snap it, and show that this is the exploit, this is the payload I have chosen. Because then, if I am sure you guys are good at it, then we would now start with the interpretation of payload, shell, meterpreter, and the rest of it, maybe binding and the rest of it, what they actually represent. And we already understand what TCP is. We already understand most of all those things. We can now continue there from there. Hello, hello.
Hello. I can hear you. It's just that the
Yeah.
network is a bit bad. The voice is not clear, but I can hear you. I don't know if others can hear you too.
We can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
But
All
we
right.
are recording. We're still recording.
Let me check.
It's recording.
Yes,
Okay.
it is recording. I think it's recording. So the that becomes our assignment to find the right payload and send, and then we continue from the right payload on how to execute. You can decide to go for Android. Even if you see an Android port that is open, find a version, and then we will still talk about creating a payload. But I want us to remember how we did create, how I opened MSF Venom. And let me just show us one more time how you can open MSF Venom to find your payload. Let me open this terminal, the class I need to have. MSF Venom. Once you type MSF Venom, you see this, and then you put L. L is like, or you put H. H is like help. It's going to show you this. Even if you put L, it's going to show you this. So I just want us not to focus that much because we are still going to start with MSF Venom, another program. Then we will now start merging them together. So MSF Venom H or MSF Venom L, it will show us the same thing. Then if you say MSF Venom, MSF Venom slash L, and you put payload, and you press enter, oh, what's going on? So if you put this MSF Venom slash, okay, it's done loading. So you have to find your payload around this. This is where you find your payload. That you can use. So um, I believe you know how we get these payloads from MSF Venom. I don't think you guys can hear. Everyone is almost disconnected. We have only 3 people here. Okay, with that being said, just do that should be the assignment. I think I'll make a record. I'll forward this back to the class, so to the group so that you can watch it and then create an assignment based on what I have described, and then we are going to continue from there on Wednesday.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So good night. Yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night.